Welcome into the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely. Chris Yao also in the mix today, off camera, as he is pushing buttons and sliding slides and making sure everything runs right, kind of like conjunction function. So glad to have them here. Glad to have y'all here on a Monday as we will be with you here for the next couple of hours from the Lee Company studios. Chris and I here in Columbia. Wade, where are you?
Coming to you from Nashville, getting ready to jet down to the borough here shortly for a little district semifinal action between Magnet and Giles County this evening. So
that's baseball?
Soccer action, semifinal showdown tonight.
Soccer.
Rematch of last year's championship game. Yeah, should be a good one.
Okay, so you're going to be on the pitch. I'm going to go take in a little softball later this afternoon. 9-4A Murray County rivalry kicking back up in postseason play as it's Columbia Central and Spring Hill. So Wade and I will have boots on the ground for you later today, covering a little high school action. Be sure and check out his coverage at PulaskiCitizen.com, mine at MainStreetMurray.com.
You mean you're telling me you're not going to Fayetteville to get a slaw burger and watch Columbia Central and Spring Hill play baseball?
I'm telling you exactly that. As you know, as appealing as a burger would be, I've never been to that place. I'm not a slaw guy for one thing, but also I'm not sure I can get there from here in a timely fashion. I feel pretty sure I can get to Joanne Ramsey Field on the campus of Columbia Central. So you know, sometimes expeditiousness comes into play.
Yeah, efficiency is key in these situations, right?
It really is. You know, can we get there? So, and nobody checks with us when they schedule stuff, like a couple of signings taking place later this week, right in the middle of the show. But I digress. Guys, how was y'all's weekend?
Weekend was good. Man, there's a lot to get into today. I'm glad it's the Monday Mirror because we got a lot to break down. Derby weekend, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, as we'll discuss. It was a busy weekend. We're kind of in the real mix of the sports calendar right now, so I'm loving it. How about you guys?
Yeah, I spent most of the time, both days, on the ones and twos, DJing a little event. Obviously, the Derby day and then Cinco de Mayo back to back. That's made a little cash and have a little fun in the meantime.
Yeah, I was pulling a Flavor Flav. They got to pay me, boy. So, yeah, that's good. Anytime you get paid, especially since my 3 games on Saturday got rained out. So,
oof, yeah.
Somebody did not get paid this weekend, and that's unfortunate.
Got a little rest though, and from now until about 2 weeks from now, you need all the rest you can get, Mo.
It's gonna be
that last week is always a doozy.
It'll be hellish if you see me walking around with toothpicks propping my eyelids open. Just mind your business. Mind your business. But yeah, great show today. We have, and I'm not sure that he's necessarily aware, so don't tell him, but we've got Joe Rexrode of The Athletic coming up, and he's going to do double duty because we're going to talk a little PREDS and we're going to talk a little college baseball. There is a Southeastern Conference series of some import set to take place in Nashville this weekend. So we're going to talk a little bit about that with Joe. And again, talk a little Predators, a little, I guess, an obituary, for lack of a better phrase. So also speaking of obituaries, not a great weekend on the West Coast for the Braves.
Or the Astros, really.
The Astros were on the West Coast as well. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Misery loves company, huh? So he just had to get you in that, huh, Wade?
Yep, catching strays.
Yeah.
Easy to pick on the last place team, but I digress, as Mo said earlier.
But and again, going to talk a little Derby. Wasn't the only photo finish this weekend. We may get into that a little bit ahead of Wednesday's visit with Heather Williams as well, but plenty to talk about. So Let's go ahead and get started talking about it with this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
All right, gang, I want to tell you guys that the Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education right here in Murray County. So give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
A little bit of a short slate from Friday high school baseball, but we're going to give it to you. Clarksville defeated Rossview 7-4, then defeated Northeast 15-5. Clarksville Academy with a 1-0 victory over Columbia Academy. Christ Presbyterian Academy defeated Father Ryan 4-3. It was Good Pasture 3, Franklin Road Academy 1. Friendship Christian down Grace Christian of Franklin 6-1. It was Giles County 11, Marshall County nothing. Loretto with a 2-0 win over Summertown. Lewis County 14, Mount Pleasant 1. Siegel with a 6-2 win over Riverdale. Summit doubled up Ravenwood 10-5. And in the District 14 4A championship, Dixon County defeated Henry County 7-5. Some Saturday scores. Oakland with a 5-3 win over Blackman. Columbia Academy defeated Davidson Academy 5-4. It was Cookville 10, Smyrna 3. Cornersville with a 13-1 win over Santa Fe. Christ Presbyterian defeated Ensworth 7-2. Culleoka defeated Hampshire 1-0. Santa Fe defeated Culleoka 9-3. Providence Christian 2, Davidson Academy 1. Franklin Road Academy 2, Grace Christian of Franklin 1. Friendship Christian 6, Good Pasture 4. Also, Giles County with an 8-1 win over Franklin County. It was 11-7, Laverne 3. Loretto defeating Summertown 7-4. Overton with a 7-2 win over McGavock. And Franklin County 2, Murfreesboro Central 1.
Other baseball scores from Saturday. Independence was a 7-5 winner over Page. Richland cranks out 20 runs. Cornersville did put up a lot themselves, but they fall 20-12 again in that high-powered showdown. More on those two teams a little bit later. Riverdale 15, Oakland 5. It was Spring Hill defeating Coffee County 5-1. Summertown edges Lewis County 3-1. Tullahoma with a 3-0 victory versus Lawrence County. In the District 8 Quad A championship game 1 of 2, it is Riverdale 4, Siegel 1. District 9A championship, Eagleville 18, Fayetteville nothing. In the 13 4A championship, it was Rossview 11, Clarksville 6. There were games played yesterday, as some of these tournaments were altered a lot due to weather getting involved in the first couple of days. But here we go. It was Beach 3, Green Hill 2. It was Green Hill 3, Hendersonville nothing. Hendersonville rallying, though, with a 5-2 win versus Gallatin. Hillsboro knocking off John Overton 5-2. Cookville defeats 11-3-0. Clarksville Academy 4, Providence Christian nothing. Spring Hill defeats Columbia 2-0. It was Wilson Central 7, Stewart's Creek 4. Summit 11, Independence 6. In the District 5 2A championship, it was Watertown 6, Smith County 5. In that 8 4A championship game number 2, Riverdale 6, Oakland 0. And in the 10A district championship yesterday down in Linville, it was Richland 13, Cornersville 3.
Softball action from Friday. Davidson Academy doubled up Battleground Academy 10-5. Coffee County with a 7-2 win over Columbia Central. This game was not played on Friday, certainly not in its entirety, because I was there for the rain and the postponement. Columbia Academy eventually defeated Clarksville Academy 14-6. Donaldson Christian with a 2-0 win over Nashville Christian, and Friendship Christian defeated Good Pasture 13-3. On Saturday, it was Good Pasture 9, Davidson Academy 2. Took 10 innings for Tullahoma to defeat Giles County 6-5. Sunday, Blackman with a 12-10 win over Rockvale. Nashville Christian defeated Columbia Academy 7-1, and Oakland defeated Riverdale 7-1. Boys soccer action on Friday. Blackman and Stewart's Creek played to a scoreless draw. It was Macon County 2, White House 1. On Saturday, Columbia Central, with a hat trick from Fabricio Rodriguez, defeated Lincoln County 3-1. Good Pasture with a 5-2 victory over Providence Christian, and University School of Nashville 9, Middle Tennessee Christian nothing. Major League Baseball over the weekend. As we mentioned, the Astros dropped 2 of 3 in Seattle, winning 5-3 on Friday before falling 5-0 on Saturday and 5-4 on Sunday, which was better than the Braves because the Dodgers in 11 won 4-3 on Friday night. Didn't take extra Saturday, 11-2 LA and 5-1 in the series finale on Sunday. Friday bonus action. Ryan Weathers falls to 2-3 on the year. More on that later, but Oakland defeated the Marlins 3-1. Sounds action over the weekend. Norfolk defeated the Sounds at First Horizon 2-0 on Friday before Nashville bounced back with a 5-2 and a 6-3 win on Saturday and Sunday. NHL action. Game 6 Friday night, the Vancouver Canucks wrap up that series against the Predators 1-0. And in MLS, Sam Surridge with a hat trick, Nashville Soccer Club 4, CF Montreal 1 over at Geodis.
Hip, hip, hooray for the boys in gold. Good win on Saturday. Baseball schedule, folks. Buckle up. We got a lot of games in just a few remaining days here before we get cranked into region play. But we get going with the 9-4A semifinals, where tonight, as we've discussed, it will be Columbia versus Spring Hill. That game begins at 4 o'clock. The winner of that game will take on Lincoln County. In the 7-4A tournament tonight, Cookeville is at Stewart's Creek. That game is set to begin at 4:30 p.m. Also at 4:30 tonight, Giles County and Lawrence County, those two rivals will meet in an elimination contest in the 8 AAA tournament. Games are being played in Tullahoma, and the winner of that game will turn right around and face Tullahoma in the championship game number 1, scheduled to begin at 6:30. In the D2A Middle Region tournament tonight, we have Good Pasture taking on Franklin Road Academy. We also have Columbia Academy taking on Providence Christian. Softball action this evening, 7-4A tournament, Laverne taking on Lebanon at 5 p.m. Wilson Central will meet Stewart's Creek at 7 p.m. District 8 AAA tournament, Giles County lost over the weekend. They're in an elimination contest tonight versus Central Magnet. That game is at 5:30 p.m. and it will also be broadcast on Pulaski Citizen Live. District 8 4A tournament action tonight, Riverdale versus Rockvale at 5, Siegel versus Blackman at 7. In the 9-4A tournament, as we've discussed, Spring Hill and Columbia meeting in a variety of sports, and they will meet tonight in softball action at 6 p.m. In the 9A tournament, it will be Fayetteville versus Eagleville at 5. In the 10A tournament tonight, Richland will host Santa Fe. Culleoka will also meet Cornersville in the nightcap in that showdown. In the District 10 AA tournament, at 5 o'clock, it'll be Mount Pleasant versus Summertown. 7 p.m., we'll see Lewis County take on Loretto. In the District 11 4A tournament, it's Hillsboro at John Overton. That game is set to begin at 6:30. District 12 4A, it's Hendersonville at Green Hill at 5. Mount Juliet versus Beach at 7. Friendship Christian is at DCA tonight at 6 p.m. in the D2A Middle Region tournament. Also at 6, Good Pasture is at Nashville Christian. Start time unknown to us is East Nashville at Father Ryan.
Boys soccer tonight, 7 o'clock in the District 8 4A tournament. Riverdale is at Blackman. In District 8 AA semifinal action, as Wade mentioned earlier, Giles County is at Murfreesboro Central. That's also a 7 o'clock first touch, and you can hear it on Pulaski Citizen Live. District 9 AA semifinal action at 6 o'clock. It's Greenbrier versus Portland, followed at 8 by Macon County and Station Camp. And in the District 13 4A play-in matchup, Springfield is at Clarksville Northeast. That's a 6 o'clock first touch, and that is your rundown. Today's top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And today's top story UT picks up a transfer. That's the Lady Vols. I know you're used to hearing that referring to Rick Barnes and the men's basketball program, but UT Lady Vols coach has been busy as well, picking up Samara Spencer from Arkansas, a rising senior guard out of Florida who averaged about 14 points a game for the Lady Hogs this past year. She is their third transfer acquisition here over the past couple of weeks, joining Z Spearman and Alyssa Latham. Latham is a transfer from Syracuse, and I am not immediately seeing where Spearman is transferring from, but she is a 6'4" rising junior forward. Latham a 6'2" forward. So they are picking up some versatile pieces, sounds like, for Coach Caldwell and her new plan of action there. So this is good. I mean, you knew that roster was going to need some work with the loss of DeMar Key and Rakea Jackson and some of the other pieces that they had this past season. So I think this one is a particularly good one. Again, started all 33 games this past season for Arkansas, led the team in assists, scored 10 or more points in every SEC game except a 9-point outing against UT, including 31 with 14 boards against Alabama. So pretty potent offensive performer Samara Spencer is, and coming in with 1 season of eligibility remaining. So should be worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, good pickup. Just adding little pieces here, little pieces there. Obviously, kind of like we talked about with the Arkansas men, you can't just totally rebuild a championship caliber roster when the unit as a whole was so bare. But Coach Caldwell, she's picking off some good people here, some good people there. A former freshman of the year, as you mentioned, in the SEC. I mean, hey, that's a pretty big deal in my eyes, and has done fairly well in her tenure in Fayetteville. So nice addition for UT, and just maybe keep stacking little victories for Coach Caldwell in getting ready to begin her first season there for the Lady Vols.
Spearman coming in from Miami, by the way. So, I mean, you're talking about some players coming in from some successful programs. Again, Latham played at Syracuse prior to transferring. Spencer, again, was at Arkansas. So you've got 3 players that have a bit of a pedigree coming into Knoxville for Kim Caldwell. So got to feel pretty good about that. Speaking of the Lady Vols, and I hesitate to talk about this, but this is something that off-camera Chris Yao put in the run of show. Charlie Cream, and I say that to say this, take it for what it's worth. Charlie Cream of ESPN, their women's basketball bracketologist, has his way too early 2025 NCAA field of 68, and Tennessee is not in it.
And that's never happened. There's never been an NCAA women's basketball tournament that did not include the Lady Vols, and I don't think this.
Well, and as a certain women's basketball coach in Baton Rouge would say, and you won't. I mean, it's not going to happen this year either.
No, I don't think that's anywhere near the realm of possibility. And here's why. One, the coach they just hired just took Marshall from picked dead last in the Sun Belt to 17-2 in conference and won the tournament and went to the NCAA women's tournament. And if there are 11 SEC teams in the tournament, which he has, Tennessee will be among them. There's just no way around.
He's got 11.
11 in, and Tennessee is not one of the 11.
Who are the other 2?
Well, there's be 4.
There'll be there would be 4
total.
others. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
5 total, 4 including plus Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know because I didn't.
I don't think
Do
the
the
math
math
really
there.
maths on that.
No, if there are 11, Tennessee will be one of the 11. The only way Tennessee doesn't get in is if, maybe there's some bid stealers out there, but I just can't imagine either way.
I have a tough time. I'd love for him to explain that. I'm sure.
What if he just gets on and says, "Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, I completely just made a typo."
I just kicked that one. I just kicked it. I just somehow missed the only team that has been in every NCAA tournament since its inception. Yeah,
That's the only justification that I'm willing to accept because I'm like you guys. I mean, you could almost sleepwalk. I know the league is getting so competitive now, but you could almost sleepwalk to a bid if that many teams are getting in. If you're out of the SEC for UT,
Well,
maybe he just feels like Texas and Oklahoma coming in on top just makes it.
he does have Tennessee as the first team out.
The first team out.
okay.
And if they're on the bubble,
Okay, so he didn't forget them then.
no. If they're on the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
they're in the tournament. And if for no other reason than, and say what you want to about this, it is what it is. They bring the dollars.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee fans travel wherever they play.
Correct.
So
Florida among those other 5 teams because they are the third team out. Belmont among the first 4 out as well.
ooh.
Mm.
Okay. All right.
So there you go.
That's
As we said, though, way too early.
way
too.
yeah, that's inarguable. That's even more inarguable than Tennessee being left out, is that this is way too early to be talking about this. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a break here from the Lee Company studios. And when we come back on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we will be joined by Joe Rexrode of the Athletics, talking athletic, singular. Sorry. Talking a little hockey. Stay with us.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
There we go. Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined on camera by Wade Neely, off camera by Chris Yao, and now audio only, Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us. Mr. Rexrode, good afternoon.
How's it going, everybody?
Pretty good. How about you, man?
It's going all right. PREDS just finished up, and I guess the timing works out in terms of now switch your interest to a Tennessee Vanderbilt baseball series, but tough series for the Preds because I think that's one that they're going to regret because they really could have advanced.
And Joe, I got a chance to listen to you kind of dissecting this situation last night on News Channel 5 with the dapper Steve Lehman. Clearly, there's two ways to look at this. When you get in the playoffs, you get greedy and you want to go as far as you can. But when you go back to September and October, where expectations for this team did not include postseason play, you really got to kind of balance that, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I think, as a season goes, surprised every year in every league by a lot of teams. In the NFL season, I sure didn't have like the Texans, Rams, or Bucks doing anything, and so I think the Preds, when they went on that point streak, 18-game point streak, they kind of showed, that they're better than we thought before the year. That some of these veteran additions Barry Trotz signed last summer were really working out great. Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist had fantastic years. So, you consider that along with the fact that two goalies got hurt for Vancouver, and also look, just the way the series went, right? Like blowing a 2-goal lead with less than 3 minutes to go in the third period game, and that's one that really they haven't had that level of a blown game in their history in the playoffs, So, and then you have a 12-second stretch in game one where a third period lead becomes a deficit. So it's also kind of how it came about. But you're right. The big picture, you certainly – that's why Andrew Burnett is up for Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year.
Do we still have Joe? You still there? Yeah. Joe, you mentioned that, Brunette is up for the Jack Adams Award. Also, Roman Yossi is up for the Norris Award for the top defenseman in the league. So, I mean, again, there have been some successful moments, and this team has had some success. How do they go about building on that now for 24, 25?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's come as a question of like, how important is it to build on it next year, or do they need to look at next year like a step back year? And I think if they end up moving UC Saros, which I think is a distinct possibility, then you almost have to just assume there's going to be a step back, right? So if that's the case, do they take a year to maybe give some opportunities to see some young guys? I mean, I think Barry Trotz will be out there looking around for a big move to bring in a proven player, to bring in a proven forward more specifically. But if they do move on from UC Saros, that's very early to expect Yaroslav Askarov and either Kevin Lankinen or another kind of backup level goalie to play well enough to get to the postseason. So that's where it really gets interesting. They could also extend Saros. They could continue into the season with him on the last year of his deal, and then have a much better chance of winning next year. But I don't know that that's the smart thing to do.
Yeah, Joe, I'm curious. It almost sounds like this 18-point streak that kind of just thrust them into the playoff picture. At the time, we were thinking it kind of put them ahead of schedule, but it's kind of seeming like, and maybe you could shed a little more light on it. In a way, it's kind of put them as a franchise at a crossroads, it seems like a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but it's so interesting, too, because there's so many different timelines, right? I mean, for Trotz and Brunette, this is their first year. They're good first year, and really they had the big sell-off last year, They had the big sell-off. And so that was like, okay, finally they've gotten to the crossroads and they finally, blew it up and they changed GMs, they changed coaches and all that. And then kind of a surprise, Trotz brings in these veterans instead of just going with young guys. And he has explained that, and his explanation makes sense. One, he wants like quote unquote culture guys like Ryan O'Reilly in particular. But two, he and really it's Ken Holland of the Red Wings is the example of a team that said, you know what, once they blew it up, they went all young guys, and then they were getting their butts kicked in this league, and they lost their confidence, and they just kept losing and losing. So it's – but I'm not saying you're wrong that it is. It's like they're on another crossroads, because you got some really good veteran players who are not getting any younger, and in particular Yossi and Forsberg, and you have some other guys who you've given multi-year deals, and they're not cheap. So they want to win now. But the crossroads to me really is the goalie question. It's okay, so pay Saros, and now you have I think a franchise goalie. He's that level of player. And then you have to – that's a great thing to have. But then you probably have to deal Yaroslav Askarov and try to get assets from him. And you're going to be more seamless and able to keep winning. But I think the smarter move is probably to trade Saros and then have Askarov at a very low rate for a few years, and you can do more with your roster. I mean, it's not easy to find the real number one center. They basically had it with Ryan Johansson for like 2 years in their history, Like other than that, they really have not had a true number one centerman in their entire existence. So you either tank in the right year or whatever. You're terrible in the right year, and you can get that guy at the top of a draft. But a lot of years, he's not at the top of the draft. Or you go and try to swing a deal for somebody. So there's just no easy answer.
And Joe, as good for as long as UC Saros has been for the Predators, did we see enough inconsistency out of him this season that maybe this is the offseason to make that move?
Well, except for trade value, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the only thing is although his last two games were a great final impression in this series. Yeah, it's hard, though, Mo, to answer it a little bit just because he was really bad early, and then really his numbers were pretty consistently strong in the second half of the season. They were UC Saros level numbers. They were really rough. It was a more extended bad start. He's a notorious slow starter every season. But I do think that the switch in system and how the Preds struggled with it for the first half left him more exposed than he was used to being. And then when they kind of all figured it out, all of a sudden, magically, things got better for him. Again, he got better too. So it's a hard one because it was a little bit more linear and not like all over the place up and down. It was rough, and then it looked more like Saros. In this series, it's tough. A series like this, the shot, he gave up a couple of like soft goals that you can't give up. He also, again, and one of those came in Game 5 where he was spectacular, really, and he was especially excellent in the last game. So, I mean, the thing is, it's like, first of all, a lot of teams in this league are finding ways to win at the highest level with just sort of figuring it out at goalie. So you have to look at that. You look at Winnipeg; they give Connor Hellebuck 8 years, $8.5 million, and they just get shelled out of the playoffs by a team that's just built on its offense. And it's hard to ignore that. But you also don't know if Yaroslav Askarov is going to be anywhere near what Saros is. We don't know that. He looks like he has a great chance to be. He has all the traits of a guy who could be an excellent goalie in this league. But you still, and that happens. And then sometimes at any position in this league, someone can dominate the AHL, come to the NHL, and it's just not the same. So there is still a risk level of not signing him. I just think that the hard cap and the lack of forward depth and center depth almost demands that they do it.
Joe, I'm curious, with obviously the Titans kind of making some splashes in free agency to kind of refreshing sentiment across the league. Is it careful not to get your hopes up with the Predators in terms of their potential free agent signings? You mentioned some forwards that are potentially going to be out there, but after just one team in town, kind of making a nice successful run, what should our expectation level be for Nashville in the free agency market?
That's a great question, and I just don't know. I almost feel like, again, it's like you have to kind of figure out. I think Barry Trotz in his mind has to figure out goalie. He probably has to resolve himself to taking less for Saros than he was hoping. I think he was hoping for a bigger haul, and maybe if he had gotten it, he would have moved him by now. But then, are they going to go try to swing a trade? Are they going to go try to sign someone big? I said earlier, of sort of maybe holding off unless you just find the perfect situation. I think he'll be out there talking to people, so I think it's possible, that something big happens. My radio partner Robbie Stanley today on our show mentioned, like Gus Nyquist right now, coming off his career year, might be someone you look to move out, with that timing. Someone looks at him and the season he had and says, and you can get some decent assets back for him. I mean, then you open up another spot for a young guy. But, like who are Stamkos is the star, of the free agent crop this year. Great player, not a young guy, but great player. You've got guys like Sam Reinhart. Gensel is another guy who's out there. And then, of course, there's the Toronto thing. They're going to blow their thing up, I think. And so is Mitch Marner a trade possibility? Would Mitch Marner, in terms of talent level, is a supreme player. There's also some question about his dedication and grittiness and all that stuff. Because I think anything could.
Chris, do you know if we still got Joe? He's still here. Yeah, no, I know he's in and out. Yeah. You're muted, by the way. Should we take a break and come back to him?
Yeah, we can take a break.
Okay. Let's take a quick break here on Main Street Sports today because we're having a little problem with Joe and connectivity, and certainly want to hear what he's got to say. So let's take a break from the Lee Company Studios. Come back after this.
Wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined on camera by Wade Neely from the Lee Company Studios. We are efforting to address our connectivity issues with Joe Rexrode of The Athletic, hoping to hear a little bit more from him on the Predators because, you know, it's a fascinating situation where they are, as we mentioned here in the previous segment. You know, coming from a start to a season where there weren't a whole lot of expectations to getting into the Stanley Cup playoffs and playing well at times, but not being able to close out that series, having some lapses at some pretty inopportune times, which I guess in the postseason, any lapses at an inopportune time, but particularly the ones that they had. So, yeah, I'm getting echo. We are rigging some things up here, so kind of shifting on the fly a little bit. Bear with us.
Can you hear Joe?
I hadn't heard Joe say anything. Joe, are you there? I don't hear Joe.
Okay.
Joe, are you still with us?
I'm with you.
There we go. There we go. Hey, man, we were going in and out, and I apologize, but just to kind of wrap up the Predators conversation, obviously this summer is going to be, kind of pivotal just because you don't know, as you were saying, whether they are going to, conscientiously take a step back or whether they're trying to, keep this window open with what they've got and try to build on it. And there are two pretty diverse trains of thought. I mean, it's kind of an either or situation, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also think that, again, like the either side could just be still dictated by opportunity as well, right? I mean, like, I think it would be a mistake for Barry Trotz to say either way, other than the goalie situation. I think you have to make that choice. And then does something emerge where you can all of a sudden make a big deal for like a veteran in this league that you think could be a centerpiece? Okay, well, then all of a sudden you're going to be better next year for it too, right? Or also, if you resolve to do something and nothing great emerges, I think that's a mistake too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really going to be fascinating. And another question that and maybe the Preds are going to talk tomorrow, so maybe Barry Trotz can spread some light on it. But how many of these young guys do they actually feel like, are in good position to make a difference soon? I mean, Luke Evangelista is the one young guy on this team who really is. I think Joakim Kemmel is the next forward to come up and be at least a promising player. But a lot of these guys, Philip Tomasino and Juuso Parssinen and Cody Glass, it feels like maybe their time, their opportunity window may be closing.
Fascinating. It just feels like the best way to describe what this offseason is going to be like and how the Predators, choose to attack things going forward. Fascinating series coming up at Hawkins Field this weekend, as you alluded to when you first joined us, as Vanderbilt set to take on what apparently is the number one team in the country, as Tennessee comes to town. And, when you look at this, particularly if you are a fan like Chris Yao, who subscribes to the battered ball syndrome theory, you just feel like UT is walking into an ambush.
Yeah, you do. You could feel that way. I mean, it certainly brings to mind last year when UT at that time really was not on a trajectory to even to get to the NCAA tournament. And Vanderbilt came in and was in control of game one, and there's an insane comeback in the ninth inning, and all of a sudden, boom, they sweep them, and the whole season is turned around. I just don't know if Vanderbilt has the bats to do that, and I also really wonder, Mo, about just the crowd this weekend. I do wonder. I think Vanderbilt fans some of them are really upset and kind of fed up, and maybe looking at the possibility of getting a few $100 for some primo seats. I mean, how much orange is going to creep into that place? It's going to be it's going to be really interesting. So, I mean, this is a huge deal. I still think they're in a better position in terms of getting in than Tennessee was when these teams met last year. I think the hosting idea is just about, that's faded really pretty dramatically here. But, I mean, they are just really struggling in all aspects of the game right now. And so they absolutely need this to be an ambush.
Losing 11-7 at Georgia yesterday. The previous two games were both by run rule. Is that right? Yeah. What has happened at Vanderbilt, Joe?
Well, they definitely have had – they've had a lot of injuries this year for sure. They've had a lot of key guys that they've lost or at least have missed some time, and I think that's hurt their continuity. But look, I don't think Tim Corbin has the kind of lineup that you need to have to compete at the high levels of the sport right now. And you look at how Tennessee has built its roster, and right now you got the, Blake Burke, Christian Moore home run duel going on. There just isn't a lot of size, strength, and power in that Vanderbilt lineup. So I think that's a fair. And again, like how many guys might they have had they gone after who, opted for pro ball and things like that. But still, like you have to find a way. And if it has to be more in the portal, then I think you have to embrace that. Now I know that Vanderbilt. It's not like Vanderbilt has not gone in the portal. They have, and they were in on some big players that they didn't land last summer. So it's not like Tim Corbin's ignoring the portal, but I just feel like, this team has a lot of talent on the mound, although that hasn't gone as well lately either, but they just don't have the kind of power hitting lineup that I think you need today.
I'm curious, Joe, as Tennessee comes into this, obviously has the nice new shiny #1 ranking beside them. Putting all the fan issues to the side, I assume Tennessee will be fired up for this series, but I'm curious, are we seeing the best of Tennessee right now, or is there still potentially another kind of realm that they're capable of tapping into in your mind as we come into the final few series of the regular season?
Yeah, look, I think they're capable of anything. I think they're capable of winning a national championship. Both of these teams, you sort of had, like, you looked at Vanderbilt's pitching and said, man, the pitching is awfully talented, looks awfully good, but are they going to get enough hitting? With Tennessee, you looked at the lineup, it looked scary, but you're like, do they have enough pitching depth? Well, I think Tennessee has answered theirs very well. Vanderbilt has not answered theirs. And so, I feel like with some of these arms that have emerged for Tennessee, it's not like they have, what they've had in terms of starters in the last couple of years, but they've got a lot of arms that are really chipping in. So, and we'll see. You get in the postseason, like you got to be able to obviously get huge outs in high leverage situations, and sometimes you get silenced by great pitchers. But man, they have a pretty decent sized margin for error with that lineup. So I think they're capable of, taking this #1 ranking. And I'm sure Tony Vitello hates it, but I think they're capable of holding on to it and maybe not, succumbing to the pressure like I think they did to some extent a couple of years ago.
And you mentioned Vanderbilt, and obviously we're talking Tennessee #1. The good news is the schedule gets much, much easier for Vanderbilt. They only have to go to #4 Kentucky next weekend to close out the regular season. You guys were supposed to laugh at that, but I digress. It's they certainly
I missed the last part there.
I was just getting ready to say, Joe, the beautiful part of the schedule, it gets much easier for Vanderbilt. You got #1 Tennessee this weekend, but then you go to #4 Kentucky next weekend. So they obviously have a lot of questions, it sounds like, going into the final two series, and they don't exactly have particularly easy opponents to answer those against.
At least you got to laugh.
Yeah, that's all I was looking
what
for.
a treat! What a treat to get! Yeah, what a treat to get the Vols, and then of course Kentucky, one of the surprise teams in the SEC. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why you can't go to Georgia and get run ruled twice and swept. And it's just man. So they're really. It seems to me like there's just a team wide confidence thing going on that's tough. So they're gonna have to get some great performances on the mound, obviously, this weekend. And they got the battle for the barrel first, by the way.
Versus Louisville, right?
That's right.
Ooh. Oh, and that rarely has been fun here of late either. So, goodness, they're definitely kind of backs to the wall right now. Joe, do you feel like does Vanderbilt get in the NCAAs?
At this point, I'll guess yes. I think it may come down to having to do some work in Hoover in the SEC tournament. But at this point, I will guess yes. I mean, they still have, on their resume, they've got some good things on their resume. I think that, maybe the injury thing will help them a little bit. But it's closer than they would like, for sure. I mean, it would really help them to, get a game this weekend, Obviously you win this series, it would be massive, but you got to stop the bleeding at some point here pretty soon.
It's been a while since we've discussed Vanderbilt baseball in these terms, Joe, and it's like you said, with the fan situation, it's a little jarring. And is this just kind of on top of football, on top of basketball? Is that what makes it particularly jarring?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously the women's basketball program is a bright spot right now. They exceeded expectations. That's a really positive trajectory. And we'll see with Mark Byington. There's a new coach, so there's a new era. But obviously, it's been a slog here for men's basketball fans, and we know the football struggles, and they continue. So baseball was the one thing that you could count on every spring. And again, I don't want to overreact. It's not like, they're not that far removed from a national champion, a team that was down to the last day in Omaha. That was 3 years ago. But I think that obviously the rise of Tennessee in tandem with this sort of, this downturn makes it probably way worse for Vanderbilt fans, right? This is one area, this time of the year is when they didn't have to hear Tennessee fans or see them invade their ballpark, and now that's over. It's over it's over, and it's over emphatically because of what Tony Vitello has done.
Yeah. Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Joe, we appreciate you hanging with us for a couple of segments and battling through some connectivity issues. Always great when we can get you on, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. When we come back to the Lee Company studios, let's talk a little professional baseball. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
May 6, 2011, Derek Lowe took a no-hitter into the seventh before opening with back-to-back base hits. Eric O'Flaherty stranded runners at second and third with 3 straight strikeouts as the O'Ventboro combination of O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, and Craig Kimbrell closed out the 5-0 two-hit victory. Alex Gonzalez had 3 hits with a run and an RBI to lead the offense as he, Brian McCann, and Dan Ugla each doubled in the win over Philadelphia. That was this day in Braves history, and I never really expected to read a positive TDIBH that involved Derek Lowe. So there it is.
You didn't have that on your bingo card.
I did not have Derek Lowe positive impact on my bingo card. No, I really didn't.
This day in baseball history, Kerry Wood, 20 Ks.
You know what's funny? The first pitch of that game, I saw a clip from that earlier today or late last night. I'm not sure which, but the first pitch from Kerry Wood, the catcher whiffed on it and it hit the umpire full in the face. And then he comes back to strike out 20. I don't know how he got 20 strikeouts with that guy behind the plate after taking one to the face on the first pitch. But hey.
Well, I know how, because they were playing Houston. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
He couldn't see. He
was just calling it. That's a strike, buddy. You betcha.
He was ready to get out of there.
That's it.
Kind of like that poor guy from the Southern League this weekend. There was a home plate umpire got hit and was out in Knoxville. And somebody on Twitter was like, "What happens now?" I was like, well, somebody else gets back there and they do it one man down, and
sure enough. Also, as long as this day in baseball history, and Chris, you were talking about Rickwood Field off air a little bit ago. Today is Willie Mays' 93rd birthday. So happy birthday to the Say Hey kid. Clearly not a kid anymore, but 93, man. That's
golly.
Wild.
And still alive as a
spry 93-year-old.
Inside joke. Two years ago, maybe, I don't remember when it was, either last year or 2 years ago, I was not aware that Willie Mays was still alive. I could have sworn
Willie Mays is still alive, and
which is fantastic.
Yeah, well, he's expected to be at that game at Rickwood between the Giants and the Cardinals, which is more than we can say about somebody in this room.
Yeah, I was informed that I was a lottery pick to purchase tickets to the Rickwood game, and then I saw that they were $350 a piece, and I thought, yeah, a piece, not for two. No, for two, I would have done that, but no, it was $350 each for, like, second to last row on the first base line, and I was like, that's a lot. It was a lot for me, and the things I can do with $350 and not have to watch the Cardinals
or the Giants,
but particularly the Cardinals. Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't for me.
It's tough. You've been to Rickwood. I've never been. Not saying that I would have paid $350 a ticket either, but I mean, as we were talking through it earlier, you've been to Rickwood, you've been to Major League Baseball games, but you've not been to a Major League Baseball game at Rickwood.
Yeah, but I mean, I know there's a difference. I really do. Like, I get that. But is there, like, how much of a difference is there from watching it at Truist Park versus Rickwood Field? Which I know the history, but I mean, the history's there, whether it's Miles College or the San Francisco Giants, right?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not trying to talk anybody into spending $350 on a ticket to a baseball game, particularly a regular season game. But I mean, I can certainly see where there would be an argument
to do it
made. Yeah,
sure. You can go to the minor league game for $80. It appears right now.
Who is the minor league game?
The Biscuits.
The Biscuits and the Barons will do battle,
and it will be Negro League uniforms.
So, and I am hoping that former Giles County
is going to be doing, but Black Barons will be there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Giles County former ace Ben Peoples will be getting the start that night for the Biscuits. So that could be my potential ticket. Otherwise, I might have to just fork out $80 and check it out.
It'll be worth it. Now, I've been to the Rickwood Classic. Classic's fantastic. It is awesome, and I'm interested to see the upgrades at Rickwood. But
I think that I would think, particularly if you've been to Rickwood before, that would be one of the more appealing aspects of going is what have they done to upgrade it, to change it, that kind of thing. So Again, I've never been, unfortunately, but I think that would be, still wouldn't be worth $350, but that would be appealing, I think.
Yeah, $80 is worth it. I would go, even if it is AA ball, and the Barons are good. The Barons are number one in the Southern League, so at some point they won't be, because the White Sox will just call everybody up at once. But that's
just en masse.
Everybody's up.
Yeah. I'm glad that we had this conversation, because it was time that we didn't have to spend talking about the Braves getting swept by the Dodgers to fall to 20-12 on the season.
Did you happen to get any text messages yesterday?
No, I did not. Did you?
I did, in fact, get a.
Did you turn her off?
I did not. I did change the subject.
I would have muted her. I know who you're talking about.
I changed the subject to Nebraska softball pretty quickly.
Yeah. Ain't heard from her in months, and now she want to come texting. Yeah. Okay. All right. We see you, Marin.
Marin Angus Coombs, the resident Dodger fan here on the show.
Well, she's not the only one. I've been texting with another one.
I'm surprised he didn't say
on something unrelated. I think he's been a little busy trying to keep up with spring sports schedules at a certain private school located not far from the Columbia studio. So, yeah, and thank goodness he's been distracted.
No doubt.
Yeah, but again, swept by the Dodgers, lost 4-3 and 11. That was a tough one. Lost 11-2 on Saturday. That was tough to watch, but I mean, at least it didn't go down to the ninth or beyond. And then 5-1 yesterday, and every time the Braves would get close, the Dodgers would hit another home run. Thanks, AJ. Appreciate that last one. But as I said on Twitter, I'm not going to complain about being 20-12.
Even if we are
I'm
2.5 down in the East. I mean, it's May.
It's not just May. I mean, it's not Memorial Day May. It's May 6th.
Yeah, it's way too early to be concerned. I mean,
sort of like the NCAA field of 68.
Yeah, it's
way too early.
far too early to be concerned about baseball record, especially when you're 8 games above 500 and you're just 2.5 games out of first place in your division.
And you've got two starters out, one for the year, and you've got 2 or 3 guys that are not performing anywhere near standards offensively. So
I'd say at least I don't know. Ozzy's been, I guess, okay, but the top 4 of 5 hitters. I mean, the Braves have and I know you love these analytics, but have been below average at the major league level in runs created. And so when you have a 75 and 100's the average, that ain't good. That's lower third of the league.
And yet you're 20-12.
And yet you're 20-12 because, starting pitching has been pretty good despite missing those folks.
Well, again, it's like I guess there was an MLB piece at the start of the month. 9 baseball storylines to watch in May. What happens when Braves sluggers start slugging?
Mm-hmm. And they will.
The Braves ended April with the best record in baseball, led in OPS for most of the month, and otherwise looked exactly like the World Series favorites they were expected to be. So what happens when they actually play to their potential?
Watch out. That's all I got to say.
Clear the decks. Yep. So anyway, enough of the Braves. Too much of the Braves. Although they start a quick 2-game series at home tomorrow night against Boston. Houston showed some signs of life last week, taking 2 of 3 from Cleveland, but dropping 2 of 3 to Seattle. But at least they split the week. Right, Wade?
That's one way to look at it, for sure. Hey, I've been saying it's way too early to get worked up about the season for a while, so I'm sticking to my guns on that. Yeah, it would have been nice, certainly, to get 2 out of 3. They got a ticked off Aaron Judge and the Yankees series kicking off tomorrow, but it certainly would have been nice to get one. I thought after Friday night with the 5-3 win they'd be okay. Then they promptly got shut out. Getting shut out at home just stings, and getting shut out at home to a division rival makes the sting even worse. And then yesterday, just gave up too many runs late. For once, it was the bullpen that kind of dinged them. That was a game that was decided in the 8th and 9th innings, and unfortunately Seattle got 2 runs, 1 each in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, and they end up winning it 5-4. So they are showing signs of life, and they're making it competitive, and kind of like the Braves, maybe once the bats kind of really start playing to potential, maybe they'll start getting it going, because the pitching has been shaky thus far, but that's kind of really just masked the fact that the hitting hasn't been that great either.
Could be worse, Mo.
Mm-hmm.
You could have had a 2-hour delay in extra innings, load the bases, and then this happens. I mean, it could be worse.
He struck him out, and the White Sox win the game.
You've got to be kidding me. After all of that, he's going to call a pitch off the plate. What a crazy, crazy game.
Yeah, you talked about the Kerry Wood umpire.
CB Buckner.
You talked about the Kerry Wood umpire earlier. What do you think that umpire was thinking? I'm sitting here for 2 hours. I ain't wasting any more time. I'm calling this sucker out. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's go home. Time to go home.
We've been here for 2 hours. It's too close to take, buddy.
You know who wasn't bothered by that outcome? Christopher Gabriel.
No. Hey, again, it's like I tell those softball. Hey, we're here to swing neck to knees, chalk to chalk, baby. Let's go. Swing the bat. And yeah, Christopher Gabriel's definitely happy about that win. He'll take it anytime you can get a dub and you're the White Sox, you'll take it.
Swing the bat. Ryan Weathers with a quality start in that 3-1 loss Friday to the Athletics. Again, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs allowed, 5 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. You got to take that.
No, you do. When you're the Marlins, particularly, you'll take a QS anytime you can get it from a starter, and they just got to hit the ball. And clearly, they don't necessarily want to do that, because if they did, they wouldn't have traded Luis Arias.
Yeah, clearly hitting the ball is low on the Marlins list of priorities since they just traded a guy who does that better than almost anybody in Major League Baseball.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
I don't know what that organization is doing and have not for
a long time.
A long time, yeah. I mean, they went to the playoffs last year, right?
They did go to the playoffs last year.
They went to the playoffs last year. They
fired everybody.
They wanted to demote their general manager, Kim Ng, who said, "No, I'll just leave." And they're like, "Well, okay, do that." Skip Schumacher was their manager of the year after they went to the playoffs. He had an option for next year, I think. They have rescinded that option. So
this is very much feeling like Major League.
You know, somebody kind of laid it was those Indians and the Athletics that somebody did the compare and contrast to. But yeah, this feels a lot like Major League.
Well, and their paid attendance for a game this weekend was a little over 6,000. I mean, there were almost more people at the Memphis-Birmingham UFL game.
More on that in a minute. Well, later in the show.
But I mean, that's the lowest attendance in the league. So if you got 6,000 people showing up, I mean, this doesn't seem like a positive for the Miami Marlins.
Can't be.
No.
Yeah. Finally, come on Main Street Sports today and good things happen.
Typically.
Brewer Hicklin was our guest from the Sounds on Friday, and a great guest he was, by the way. Hit a home run yesterday in the Sounds 6-3 series finale victory over Norfolk after they also won on Saturday. Hicklin now has 4 home runs, 17 RBI. Both of those are second on the team behind Tyler Black, who is currently with the Milwaukee Brewers. So keep it rolling, Brewer. Again, great segment with him on Friday. Wade, I was not aware he was a two-sport guy, so kudos to you for knowing that and mining that aspect of Brewer Hicklin's background, because that was that made for some great stuff, I thought.
Yeah, he was very very entertaining and very forthright in his interview, because he kind of didn't hold anything back, right? When he said, "Hey, I didn't even really plan on baseball, and then when the football program got shut down, I kind of had some." I loved his outlook, though. He's just like, well, Well, I had to do something, and I wanted to be a college athlete, so that was the second best sport I was good at. So might as well try that one.
Keep me out of trouble, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was great.
Keep it
Quality
warm
answer
at
as well.
Huntsville, I guess. Yeah. And what was it? Homers for Heroes is the charity that he does where you can pledge dollars for his home runs and donate something for youth sports back in Huntsville. So
Homers for Hope.
Homers for Hope. Thank you. So be sure and check out his website, brewerhicklin.com. Pretty straightforward. And get
some
more
dollars got
information.
donated this weekend.
Yep, exactly. So good stuff. The Sounds begin a 6-game series tomorrow over in Durham, which means we should be visiting Friday with Jeff Hem from the DBAP.
Doubles.
There we go. So be sure and check that out as we update you. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, it'll be MON-STARS as we give you our top performers from the weekend. Stay tuned on the other side of this break.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Coming to you from the Lee Company Studios. Chris and I here in Columbia, Wade in Nashville, and it is now time for MON-STARS as we give you our top performers from the weekend. Guys, I've only got 3, so
don't steal them.
Exactly. But I will let you go first.
I can't promise that I'm not going to steal it. So, Wade, I'll let you go first and hope to God, because I've only got 3 too. So let's see what happens.
Yeah,
we may just have some gold standards, Mo.
Yep.
That could be held up to it. Well, we go preps to pros on this show, and I'm going to start with Richland senior Bryce Miller, who threw a 8 strikeout, 5-inning no-hitter in the District 10A tournament opener last week versus Santa Fe. Miller's been on fire. We've talked about him a lot on this show. That is the 3rd no-hitter. Most of those have been run rule shortened, which, doesn't quite have the same pop, but that just means your offense is clicking because Richland's bats putting up big runs in that effort. So Bryce Miller is my first MON-STAR of the week. 8 strikeouts, putting Richland on their path to what they would eventually win yesterday, which was the District 10A championship.
That's Bryce Miller of Linville, Tennessee, not to be confused with Bryce Miller of Mount Pleasant, Texas, the Mariners starter who gave Atlanta fits last week. Yeah.
All right, we're going preps to pros, so let's do it. District 10 AA, most valuable player, Clint Seymour, who goes 6 for 10 for Loretto. Yeah. 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 6 ribbies.
That's solid.
That's a good weekend.
That is a good weekend. I'm not going preps to pros. I got some honorable mentions I'm going to throw in on the back end. But my first MON-STAR is Middle Tennessee State senior pitcher Cameron Carthage, who in her final at-bat of her Lady Raider career doubled in the 5th inning and scored on a double by Claire Zachkowski, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll get a we'll get confirmation from Chip tomorrow to cap a comeback from a 3-0 deficit to defeat visited New Mexico State 4-3 on Senior Day. Final home game of the season for the Lady Raiders. So Cameron Carthage is my first MON-STAR.
Wade.
Next up for me, let's keep it in the college ranks. UT Southern making history with their women's golf program. And a special shout out to UT Southern sophomore, Iana Polite, who is a San Bugacino, Spain national native, and she qualified for the first ever NAIA national tournament appearance by a member of UT Southern. That counts for the men, that counts for the women, that counts as individuals, and that counts as programs. Nobody has ever qualified for the national tournament. She has had a fantastic season, and the UTS team came relatively close. They've had some really great seasons, but they have not had anybody to qualify for the national tournament. We mentioned Jacob Wilson of their men's program who got close, but he did not officially make the cut for the national tournament. So Iana Polite is the second MON-STAR selection, making history for UT Southern this past week.
That's a good one. That's a heck of a pull right there.
That's of course, solid.
I guess it's good when you live in that town.
It makes it a little easy. That tournament, by the way, it's kind of cool. The NAIA National Tournament, they do get to play at some nice courses over the years. That'll be held May 14th through 17th, which is at TPC Deer Run up in Silvis, Illinois. So they'll be playing on a nice track, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye on her as she gets ready to make her tournament appearance.
All right.
Yow.
I'm going to go to the United Football League. I know you're shocked.
I am.
And look, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but it is what it is. I know it's Memphis, and they're not good.
Wow.
But
I don't. You know what? Anytime somebody says no disrespect meant, be ready for the disrespect.
well,
Okay, go ahead.
It's less disrespect and more fact. They're just not good right now, and that's okay. Like, it is what it is. They're just, the UFL is what it is, and some teams are going to be good, and Arlington's going to be 0-6. That's just how it goes. And sorry, Bob Stoops, but it is what it is. But I know it's Memphis, and I know they're not one of the better teams in the UFL. But Adrian Martinez, holy cow. 23 of 36, 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, added 25 on the ground as well, just for good measure. And dude looked like everything we thought he could be in college. He is starting to show at the professional level with a little bit of love around him. He's got a little bit of talent around him, and the dude is showing out. So, Adrian Martinez, baby.
Adrian Martinez, former Nebraska. He was in Nebraska. Where else was he?
K-State.
There we go. Okay. All right. My number 2 MON-STAR, I'm going to the beach.
The beach.
Molly Phillips won a beach volleyball championship this past weekend for Southern Cal. I think it was their either third or their fourth in a row. Now, Molly Phillips was a member of the last 2 indoor volleyball national championships at Texas, including one last fall before transferring at the Christmas break as a graduate to USC. So,
Holy moly.
Yeah, she has won 2 national championships at 2 different schools in the same academic year.
That's impressive.
That's why she's a MON-STAR.
That is a heck of a pull.
Thank you.
Yeah, very man, that's much more of an individualized effort too. Yeah, you're playing with a teammate, but to go from the full team to just a partner,
teammate.
that is very impressive and elite pull. Final MON-STAR for me this week. How about our boy Valeria Shabilla that came on the show last week, and we talked about, you know what, if you just win games, it just starts to feel a little better. Nashville scores 4 goals. More on that in a second as they defeat CF Montreal. But Sam Surridge, who they picked up last year, he bags the hat trick, had a goal in the 11th minute, a goal in the 47th minute, and then had a goal in the 81st minute. He's going to be my MON-STAR. But when you look at the box score, guys, I didn't get a chance to watch the game this weekend. There were 5 goals scored in the match. Nashville scored them all. You may be wondering how that happens in a 4-1 game. Walker Zimmerman scored himself in the 20th minute, and then he scored inadvertently on an own goal in the 64th minute. So no Montreal player actually put the ball in the back of the net as Nashville wins at 4-1. But Sam Surridge's hat trick earns him my final MON-STAR bid.
Wade, you have been around more soccer than I have and at higher levels than I have. How embarrassing is that?
An own goal?
Yeah.
It ranges from not embarrassing at all, just wrong place, wrong time, kind of like you see with a hockey deflection every now and again, to flat out, wow, embarrassing and beyond embarrassing.
Where does this one rank? Have you seen it?
I've not seen the clip, and given that Nashville that made it 1-1 at the time, if it wasn't Zimmerman, I think everybody would be up in arms. Or have been up in arms, I think, because it was Zimmerman. And I think that bought him a little bit of grace. and obviously the fact they go on to win the game 4-1, everybody kind of forgets about it now.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier to take, I guess.
Actually, I misread the game log. I'm sorry, folks. It was already 3-0 at the time. So, yeah. You might have been a, hey, whoops, I'm a little embarrassed, but it didn't range on anything. The unfortunate, obviously, end of that spectrum is, what happened in the 94 World Cup with fantastic, still one of the best ESPN 30 for 30s of all time. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, the Escobar brothers, about the own goal and eventual murder from the Colombia Escobar. So I'm not saying that they all range to that level, but that kind of just paints the picture. We go from harmless to unfortunate circumstances in some situations. Yes.
That's great.
Okay.
So okay. So during the match, following the one of Sam Surge's goal, Sam flashes a 7. Have we figured out what that means yet? Because he said it was a secret after his first. After his first goal, he throws up the 7. Now his contract was $7 million. It was his 7th MLS goal. Or is it how many rounds that he could stand in the rink with a professional boxer? Ring. Sorry. I don't know. That's pretty funny, but I'm still trying to figure it out. They did ask him in the presser, and he said it was a secret. So if you guys have any insight, let us know.
I have none.
I'll chalk it up to just him being excited and say, yeah, it was my 7th goal in MLS. I don't know that he's playing that level of chess just yet, saying, my contract is $7 million. Maybe I'm worth more than that. That'd be some Machiavellian type strategy there. But I don't know. He's a tough dude too. Now that I'm wondering that, I'm wondering if he can maybe go 7 rounds in the ring. You make a good argument there, Chris Yao.
I don't know. That's the question. So anyway,
it's your turn.
There you go. My turn. How about NBA playoffs? Cleveland Cavaliers and Donovan Mitchell, 39-9 in the 106-90 win yesterday.
Over Orlando?
Over the Magic. Who was it for the Magic that went somebody from the Magic went 39-16
and lost. Had to have been Boncaro, right?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but yeah, it was Boncaro. 38-16-3. Yeah, everybody else.
38-16-3, and yeah, the next highest score, Wendell Carter Jr. with 13, and Franz Wagner still has yet to learn how to shoot, unfortunately. He finished with just 6 points in the loss last night. Markelle Fultz had more points than Franz Wagner. That's all I'm going to say about that.
And he shot 15 times.
For 6 points?
For 6 points. He shot 15 times. And 4 of his 6 points were from the free throw line.
Oh, good Lord. So he was 1 of 15?
1 of 15. You heard me.
And he's a post player?
Small forward, so ish.
106-94 that final. And as you said, Boncaro walked in the locker room, as we love to say, and I didn't lose.
Y'all
lost. My third MON-STAR is Allie Schneider. And you probably don't recognize the name, but she is the young lady who was sitting at the preseason game between the Chicago Sky and the Minneapolis Lynx and decided to live stream it because it wasn't available anywhere else. 400,000 live views of her stream.
It's at 660 now.
It's at 2 million now.
Where?
According to justwomensports.com, by Saturday, the resulting 2-hour video had amassed over 2 million total views.
That's because they don't know how to read Twitter. 2 million. It hit 2 million feeds, but it had 660,000 views today.
On Twitter?
Yes. And
it's not anywhere else?
I mean, unless she figured out how to double stream from her phone.
I mean,
I've not seen it on Facebook. I've not seen it anywhere else. The only place I saw it was Twitter. But yeah, that's it. But at the bottom, you know, where it says how many like feeds it hit or whatever, it's 2 million. But it's not. It's 660,000 views, which is still impressive. I mean, let's be real.
She managed to do something that the WNBA couldn't, so kudos to her.
They couldn't do it. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about this.
Well, there is a lot of misinformation out there about this, and
we know a little bit more than some of these Facebook pages that are throwing it out there.
A little, but the game was not being televised by any entity, which prevented it from being on WNBA League Pass.
And if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Bally, who thought the Twins game was more important.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that they were contractually obligated to show that Twins game from spring training before they knew that
anything
Cardozo and Reese were going to be playing.
Well, and
now here's my question: why couldn't Bally Chicago have shown it?
Well, because they weren't. It wasn't that they weren't shown; it was that they didn't have people to actually broadcast. They didn't have camera operators, etc. Because the Twins were at home, and that's kind of, you know, again, that's. And here's the thing: a lot of people are not mentioning. This is the first time in history that any WNBA preseason games have been broadcast at all. So, I mean, that just goes to show the level of, you know, of eyeballs that are on this thing. And, you know, WNBA is doing as best it can to get it in front of people as quickly as possible. They want to capitalize on it, but they can't. I mean, they're not a production company. The WNBA doesn't have cameras and, you know, stuff. So it's unfortunate that was the case, but it's not the WNBA's fault for most, you know, to some degree.
To some degree.
Now, could they have put a little handy cam up and maybe streamed it? I don't know. I don't know, because maybe they have exclusive broadcast rights with Bally, and that would have
violated
maybe
them.
that violates the broadcasting. I don't know.
It's complicated, as they say in other areas, but yeah. The Sky's next preseason game, I believe, is set to be broadcast.
It is. And
is that tomorrow night?
I think so. But one of the games not set to be broadcast is the Puerto Rican national team versus the Las Vegas Aces in Charlotte,
South Carolina.
Somewhere in South Carolina.
Back in
it might be Columbia.
Yeah.
It might be a Colonial Life.
And that one's not going to be televised. And how unfortunate is that?
The Sky plays at home tomorrow against the New York Liberty, and that one is set to be televised.
There you go.
So
my guess is that whomever the broadcast partner is said,
fool me once.
White Sox. Sky. We will have a bare bones broadcast at both and make sure we get all the eyeballs. So good on them for seeing the potential there and for making a decision somewhat to rectify it going forward.
According to athlonsports.com, from yesterday evening, although the WNBA hasn't officially announced the update for the upcoming Chicago Sky game on social media,
The app says otherwise, showing that it will be streaming the upcoming game. So, again, Liberty Sky, 7 o'clock Central tomorrow on League Pass.
There you go.
Which is $35 this
For the
year.
year. For the year.
Great value.
You cannot beat it.
You will not beat it because I guarantee you it won't be $35 next year.
No, there's no doubt. Yeah, and that's and we watched it last year. They were putting games on Facebook, they were putting games on Twitter, they were putting games nationally on Amazon Prime and CW. Those were the 4 main broadcasters for the nationally televised games. And honestly, like that, if that's the case this time, those entities will be just absolutely ecstatic because it's kind of like buying a stock at a penny stock and it shooting up to $100 a share at some point. You know what I mean? It's like this is the jackpot in broadcasting.
Right. Those are our MON-STARS.
They are indeed.
Yeah, we kind of got off in the weeds a little bit, but again, congrats to Allie Schneider.
Yes.
Thank you. Doing the Lord's work.
Otherwise, nobody was watching that thing. So well done.
Yeah. Let's take a break here in the Lee Company studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back, it's the grab bag. Stay tuned.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Final segment of the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely and the off-camera Chris Yao. Time to tie up some loose ends here in the grab bag. And let's start at Churchill Downs, where we may have seen the closest Kentucky Derby in history. Chris, is that how that's being characterized?
I mean, I don't know if you could possibly have one closer. I mean,
especially when you consider there were 3 horses
right
in a photo finish.
I mean, I didn't realize that my pick to place had actually placed.
Who did you have?
Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I had Sierra Leone to place and tripled my money, so I'll take that.
Hey.
Yeah, it was an insane race. and action coming down the stretch. There's a couple of the runners that get wide, and they're getting really tangled up and bundled up, and then obviously everybody kind of narrows in, and Mystic Dan just edging out Sierra Leone and then Forever Young. And that's kind of the crazy thing about all this is as close as it was and as tight as the conditions were, man, it's a miracle that there was no real error or bump that caused the results to kind of be thrown into question there like we saw a couple of years ago. Sometimes you get flagged if things go just a little bit sideways. And, man, it was great to see that. Just an insane finish. The race just before that, the turf race, was a photo finish in its own right. So, basically, the two races, the final two main races of the day were just insane finishes as Mystic Dan. And, by the way, we talked on the show Friday, Mo, and I was sitting there, and I'm devastated because I was sitting there all day Saturday. And I said, man, what do conditions have to be like for Mystic Dan to win? And Richard told us, he says, on a sloppier track, I'm thinking, I asked him that. I said, how sloppy does it need to be? And he says, well, I think it needs to be pretty sloppy. And I was just sitting there waiting, and I'm looking at the weather. And I'm saying, nope, I don't see anything. Nope, I don't see anything. But apparently it was already sloppy enough because Mystic Dan, with the ride that he will never forget, coming across 18-1 odds and setting up a potential crazy run if he can duplicate that at the Preakness in a couple of weeks. They're betting favorite Fierceness, who is 3-1.
15.
A lot of folks had money on Fierceness, and a lot of folks disappointed. He finishes 15th, as y'all said.
Hey, speaking of that race right before, did you see the jockey in the LSU jacket?
No, I did not notice that. I was too busy smashing my betting slips in frustration.
Well, he did not do so well in that race, but I guess for the other Louisiana jockey to do well, he had to fall off. But I was sitting there going, all right, are we going SEC? And then he started stinking, and I was like, yeah, he's definitely LSU. not SEC. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. But man, what a fantastic race. Relentless was looking good coming out of that final turn, and then just looked like he ran out of gas, and that was my pick to win.
Relentless or Resilience?
Resilience, sorry.
Yeah, finished 6th. Grand Mo the first, unless you had money on him to not finish last, did not cash. Came in 18th.
I threw the money down for the good of the fam, and it didn't come through, unfortunately. But
that's a little unfortunate.
How they call it gambling.
He was only 36 3/4 lengths back.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. How'd you like to be Kenneth McPeak, by the way, the trainer for Mystic Dan? And also Brian Hernandez, the jockey, wins their race, wins with Torpedo Anna on Friday, the Kentucky Oaks, and then wins the Derby on Saturday. First time that the Oaks Derby combo has been pulled off by a trainer since 1952. And neither Hernandez or McPeak, the jockey or owner, had ever won an Oaks or a Derby.
And they won them both in the same weekend.
Won them both.
That's solid.
How about that?
That's living right there, huh?
Man, yes.
Not to be outdone. NASCAR Cup said whole hour lemonade.
From Amish NASCAR to regular NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Larson edges Chris Buescher at the line in the closest finish in Cup Series history.
0.001.
0.001.
And not without controversy. I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures of the start finish line, but it's a little crooked.
Chris Childers is convinced that Buescher won.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm looking at an article by the Associated Press. Kyle Larson was told by his team over the radio that everything he had given was not quite enough. So they thought Buescher won too. Immediately.
Well, the crew chief for Kyle Larson was confused when he saw Busher's name at the top. He thought he won. Now, again, the spotter's got a little bit better view than the crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the crew chief was like, what do you mean Busher's up there? He threw his hands up. He was very confused. So I don't know. It was wild. One of the crazier finishes I've ever seen. In cars where Lightning McQueen sticks his tongue.
Yep.
That's what I was expecting. I never saw it happen, but
like a little Batmobile prop just extends right there at the end that you didn't know existed.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at the run of show, and there is an item on here. Update on 8 AAA baseball tournament tonight. I assume that is a Wade Neely edit.
Yeah, how about this, guys, real quick? We opened the show with the rundown telling you that Giles County and Lawrence County were going to play at 4:30. The winner of that game would go on to meet Tullahoma. All the games will be played at Tullahoma. Your if necessary game would be tomorrow night. They have scratched all of that. Giles County and Lawrence County will now play tonight at 6:30 in Lawrenceburg. And Tullahoma has already been declared the district champion. So the winner of tonight's game will be your runner-up and will automatically get the 2 seed in the region. No other games necessary. Just everybody just pack it up and go home. Congrats to Tullahoma, who's the district champ apparently.
So that opens you up for tomorrow then.
Looking like it.
You ain't got nothing to do.
You ain't.
The good news is all the other teams in Giles County have canceled their games as well with following suit with Giles County.
You ain't got no job. You ain't got
I know you, but today.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Scott, our publisher, Scott Stewart, said, I don't know what you did, but I swear you had something to do with this as far as the game getting canceled and moved tonight. Because
well, I will tell you this.
I would go tomorrow to Tullahoma, and he said, I don't know what voodoo you just pulled, but you pulled something.
Hey, if you got that kind of juice, more power to you.
I had nothing to do with that.
And that's all I'm going to say about juice today because we don't have time to get into that. But we will tomorrow get into some juice and some gin as well. Chris, UFL Week 6. You've already mentioned Birmingham, Memphis. What else jumped out to you?
Well, Birmingham was the first team to secure a playoff spot as they are now 6-0. And Arlington is officially eliminated. The 2023 XFL champions are 0-6 after attempting to block the 44-yard game-winning field goal and hitting the kicker. And the kick was so far off. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Bailed him out, huh?
He bailed him out. Michigan wins, and Arlington is eliminated. St. Louis with a 22-8 win over Houston. Don't know if maybe they were looking ahead to next week, maybe, as the Battlehawks and Stallions will take the field down in Birmingham on the 11th for a battle of the top 2 teams in the league. DC had a good game. DC taking down San Antonio. San Antonio has been kind of the sleeper team this year to this point. So, I mean, the parity outside of Birmingham right now is just really impressive. And Birmingham, again, I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll find out this week.
I'm a little disappointed in you, Yao, for
that?
not letting me know that former Ensworth standout Corn Elder was playing defensive back for the Houston Roughnecks, had the UFL's first pick 6 a couple of weeks ago, a 98-yarder.
I didn't know he played at Ensworth. I had no idea. But this league has been so good for a lot of really good football players. And if you have not watched it, if you're not watching the UFL, you're doing yourself a disservice. That's all I'm going to say.
We got to go. Join us tomorrow, 2:00 here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.